I actually did receive an email from Kat Crippen, who had spoken to Joanne Hackett, and I called Artie Herner, and Artie and the folks from DPW were very kind to get him right over there within an hour. And it was nice for them to be there for the opening of the Little League. Really a nice addition. Also, I'm very happy to announce that we have an interlocal agreement with Seeger. Part of the discussions in purchasing new equipment and whatnot, one of the pieces of equipment that was needed was a roll-off truck. If we were to purchase a roll-off truck for our recycling center, it's approximately about a $155,000 item. We were able to enter into an interlocal with Seeger, and tonight we'll be voting later to allow the mayor to sign off on that, where we will be getting their use of their roll-off truck 1 day a week, 4 times a month. They pay for all the maintenance, including the tires. The only thing we do is, we pick it up with a full tank, we return it with a full tank. It works out very good, and it's $155,000 that we don't have to go out and borrow. I think that's a pretty good result. And it also gives us a piece of equipment that we absolutely need for our recycling center. And at this time, we are still in negotiation with the DPW. There's nothing further to report there. And that's it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Councilwoman King.
I don't have anything.
Councilman Conico.
Can I speak on the patrolman?
How about when we get to that, to their resolution?
The resolution is part of the consent agenda, so.
Yeah, and the consent agenda.
Did we separate that out?
Yeah, when we get to that. Councilman Borbeck? I'd like to have a motion, please, to open the first voice of the public.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
If anyone would like to speak, and this is on any business, please come forward to the mic. Matt?
John Lewis, 574 Prospect Avenue, Spring Lake Heights. I would like to submit petitions that have been gathered, and this is pursuant to the New Jersey Statute 48:14-91, which would have the borough governing body hold a hearing in thinking about to dissolve the fire district.
Right.
Okay, these earlier today were notarized, and
You would present those to the clerk?
city clerk.
Thank you, Mr. Lewis.
And before the week is out, I would be happy to provide each of you with a packet in your folders inside, giving you some of the reasons that I think that this should be done, not only for financial reasons, but for many others that some of you may or may not know. And if anybody doesn't want me to give it to you in their packet, let me know privately and I won't bother you with it. But otherwise, I'll make sure that everybody gets a packet. Thank you.
Just so everyone knows, the petition that John just gave to the clerk is a petition to dissolve the fire district. And once the clerk receives that, the clerk has to certify that all of the names on it are actually residents of the borough of Spring Lake Heights. And then we are required then to set up a date for a hearing on that petition. And it will probably be, unless somebody in the council has an objection to that, at our next council meeting. And we have to advertise that, and then we will have a hearing. And then the council may vote on whether to dissolve the fire district or not. If the district is, if that were to pass, and the council were to dissolve the fire district, at that point, I found out today, it goes to, is it DCA, Colleen? No.
The local finance board.
The local finance board, which is the state. And the state has to agree or approve that any debts that the fire district had were going to be taken care of and that the money's going to be handled properly. And we have to, John, am I correct on this?
That's right.
Yeah, and we have to make an application for that, and I think we have to have an attorney appear when that comes up. So it isn't just handing the petitions in and the council voting. There's more to it than that. But they're the basics. So the petition is in, the clerk will certify the signatures, and then we will advertise when the hearing will be, and then there will be a hearing on the subject, probably at our next council meeting. Okay. John?
Can I just say one more thing?
Sure.
I want to, for the people that don't understand, and as I...
John.
Talking to
For the people that don't quite understand, and I've talked to a lot of people in the last few weeks, there's a big difference between a volunteer fire company and a fire district. And that all this petition would do, if it's successful, is to get rid of 5 fire commissioners who now finance the volunteer fire company. We would only go back to the old way it was, where the council funds the volunteer fire company. Nothing changes for the boys over on Essex. I mean, they still have their fire engines and their clubhouse. Nobody's looking to do away with that. This is only 5 fire commissioners. Okay.
Thank you. Would anyone else like to speak? Can I have a motion to close this?
Excuse me.
I'm sorry, Kat.
Kathleen Crippen, 564 Atlantic Avenue. First of all, the Environmental Commission has not met because the clerk has not advertised the schedule of meetings, and we did not want to be in violation of the Open Public Meetings Act. As far as the Fletcher property being an arboretum is not a tree farm. It is a passive use with nature trails and with other passive recreation facilities, picnic grounds, things like that. It was determined after an almost 2-year study, which included conversations with Monmouth County Shade Tree Commission, who felt that the county would be interested in funding such a project. It was also following a petition by the residents up on the north end of town, particularly around Jeanette Court. So I would think that since the council responded to a petition, I would think some people up here would be a little more sensitive to that. And it wasn't the Environmental Commission. The Environmental Commission recommended the idea to the council, and the council adopted a resolution saying that an arboretum was the best use for the property. Also, in regards to the trash recycling containers in the Ware Road Park, they were purchased through a grant, the Clean Communities grant that this town gets every year. The Environmental Commission and I had been the coordinator of that grant. That was the primary budget line for the Environmental Commission. Joanne Hackett was president of Little League. She and I worked on that project, and I might add we did it as volunteers, whereas currently the coordinator for the Clean Communities grant is paid $32 an hour. Whereas the Environmental Commission did the work for free. And I would like to thank Mr. Differ as the chairman of Parks and Recreation for assisting in getting the cans in place by Saturday's game. Thank you, Mr. Differ. It was a pleasure to work with you.
If I could respond to some of the comments made by Ms. Crippen.
All right, John.
First of all, Ms. Crippen, just so you know, I too made phone calls to Mr. Herner to make sure that the recycling stations were out. We all know that Ms. Haydick was the chairperson of the Clean Communities Grant. So for you to stand up here, well, she was the chairperson according to the resolution that appointed chair people. The person who's the Clean Communities Grant person is not making $32 per hour. You just make these things up. The best use of the property was determined by you and a handful of few other people. All of these comments and these conversations that were had were by you and you alone with other people. Ms. Crippen, please. And the
We'll
fact
get
of the
you a
matter,
copy of the
is what was
resolution.
lacking, if you could. The fact of the matter is, which was lacking in the process of determining the best use for the Fletcher property, was any effort to get the community involved in a community-wide discussion. I can tell you without a doubt that the best use of the Fletcher property, according to a majority of the people that I speak to, and I speak to a lot of people, probably a lot more people than you do, Ms. Crippen, is not a arboretum. An arboretum is a passive use with trails, to be sure, but you know what? The way I look at that, that is just an attractive nuisance for teenage delinquency. What we should have is we should have something that's more appropriate for our community, not a $1.5 million, 2.5 acre arboretum.
Thank you, John. Anyone else from the public like to speak? We have a motion to close the public hearing, please.
Make that motion.
I mean, the
I'll
first
second it.
voice of the public. Second,
I'll second it.
all in favor? Number 7, 2011 municipal budget hearing, are we doing that?
No, we're not doing the municipal budget. It was planned that I would be able to introduce a budget tonight for possible adoption. However, the budget has just gone up rather than down because of the tax appeal.
So are we skipping number 7?
So we are, yeah. And-
Can we just skip
and-
it?
And next meeting.
John?
Yeah, well, just
Okay, thank
you
you.
carry it to the next meeting.
Okay.
I'll make a motion to carry number 7 to the next meeting.
Can I have a Colleen?
I just have a question on that, because I've never done it like that. Now, in our budget document itself, you have to put when the public hearing is. So do we then have to do something?
We'll probably have to renotice, or is this notice?
Yes.
That we noticed.
So we'll have to renotice for the next meeting?
30 days, I think you gotta get it.
Can you carry that further notice to the public? As you would
I
like the
wouldn't,
planning board?
not in Spring Lake Heights, we're not gonna carry
we're
something
gonna carry it.
without notice to the public.
Okay,
Sui generis, okay, I got
so next time, and we'll have to renotice it? So we're postponing the hearing. Ordinances.
30-day notice.
Introduction and first reading. Ordinance number 6, 2011. An ordinance of the Borough of Spring Lake Heights repealing portions of Chapter 3 of the revised general ordinances of the Borough, Spring Lake Heights, County of Monmouth, State of New Jersey, entitled Regulations Enforced by the Police. This has to do with limousines and taxis. May I have a motion, please?
I'll make that motion. Second.
Any discussion? This is repealing the taxi license that we have, and just by way of information, I received a notice or an invitation from Manasquan, from one of the councilmen in Manasquan, asking if we were interested in doing kind of, I guess, a Route 71 sort of ordinance for taxis, so that all of the towns would have the same ordinance, and the taxis would be all regulated the same. And Rich Dibber is going to attend a meeting in Manasquan with those people, and hopefully we can all come up with something.
You can agree to reciprocity if that's the way you.
Right,
Yeah,
but in the
recognize.
meantime, we're gonna repeal our old taxi ordinance, which is not good. So I had a Tom,
We'll read the session.
Jordan.
So in other words, we're not going to regulate the taxis and limousines operating in our town, at least temporarily.
We're getting rid of our old ordinance, and we don't have a new one
It
yet.
will be replaced with a new ordinance.
Why don't we wait till we get the
Can,
new ordinance?
what I would suggest is that maybe we wait till we have the alternative, because basically we're saying there's no regulation at all, and as far as Spring Lake Heights is concerned, for some period of time, it might be a week, it might be a couple months, I don't know, maybe a year.
The recommendation is to
I can
repeal
tell
it.
you, well, I can tell you that I was the drafter of the limousine and taxi ordinance back in 2003. At that time, it was the most progressive form of ordinance that was in circulation. Essentially what it does is it requires taxis who are picking up people in Spring Lake Heights to have a Spring Lake Heights license to operate. It was de minimis cost, so it wasn't, the idea wasn't that it was to be used to raise revenue, but the idea was for public safety. It required the taxi drivers to have criminal background searches, proper identification card displayed, as well as making sure that they had the proper insurances in place.
And that's what's still in effect today.
And that's what's still in effect today, and quite frankly, I think repealing something that is directed toward public safety in the absence of an alternative is reckless.
Rich, do you want to respond to that?
Well, I would disagree with that comment. I think it's reckless. I think it's updating a very antiquated ordinance, as far as I'm concerned. It's really not enforceable. Last year we had a discussion when people were coming in, and people came in about businesses and being asked to file a $50 fee on a business, and we had a whole instance, for example, on the reference that was just made, to background checks. We can't expect the police to be patrolling our town and also making background checks. That was the same argument last year. It's no different this year. And it is not reckless, because there is no state mandate that mandates you must have this. However, we do have a an ordinance that we can put back in place, and it is better than this, it is updated. This is from 2003, and from 2003 to today, I would think that anybody would agree that times have changed, especially in light of DWI. And I'd rather see our police officers concentrating on DWI arrests, where we had 45 DWI arrests in Spring Lake Heights last year. 45.
Did you
I
just
would
say
much
you
rather
had a
have
new
our
one?
streets be safe.
Did you say you had a new ordinance?
We do have, I'm working on it right now.
Oh, but we don't
do
have it yet.
We don't have it yet,
Rich,
but we can print it up at the next meeting.
yeah, I'm not saying that.
And that doesn't preclude us from doing an interlocal along those lines as
No,
well.
no, no, it doesn't, no.
Yeah, my only objection is that we're kind of like, taking a leap without knowing where we're going.
We're going back to an updated taxing agency.
And I'm sure it's great, Rich, if you worked on it, I'm
Mhm.
sure it's quite good. I just would feel more comfortable.
I understand your point.
Is there a?
My advice
is there a
was that
time-
this should be repealed in its entirety first. I was told that we should repeal this in its entirety first,
Maybe
and
the
then
same-
introduce the new one. It's a better paper trail.